If this coaster did not race, it wouldn't be that good, but it does, so it is. Here's why. I'm gonna rank every coaster and give them my review. Every drop and every hill, every launch and every loop. Rate it 1 to 10 and then we'll do it all again. Gonna rank and review every coaster. Lightning Racer at Hersheypark is an attraction consisting of 2 separate wooden coaster tracks, one of which is called Lightning, with the other being Thunder. And to be honest, I don't have a ton to say about this ride. It does offer some mild airtime as well as decent pacing, but neither coaster left much of an impression on me one way or the other. There weren't really any standout positives or negatives. That being said, I did thoroughly enjoy the racing aspect of these 2 coasters, as the dueling interactions between the 2 tracks are, after all, this attraction's defining characteristic. Now, despite having slight variations in their individual layouts, both the Thunder and Lightning tracks feature the same stats. They have a height of 92 feet, a top speed of 51 miles per hour, a track length of 3,393 feet, and a ride duration of about 1 minute from the first drop to crossing the finish line, though this can vary a bit based on the weight of the train, time of day, and a variety of other factors. From an off-ride perspective, Lightning Racer is very visible and prominent from outside of the park, particularly on Park Avenue. Inside of the gate, however, this attraction is tucked away in the back corner, essentially sandwiched in between the water park and Park Avenue. Since these are the furthest coasters from the park entrance, it does take a while to get to them, but you can cut through the water park once you pass Tidal Force to save a sliver of time and energy. This isolated location also has a handful of benefits, the most substantial of which being that Lightning Racer sees minimal wait times all day. This makes it a great ride to head to when other lines are getting long. Additionally, the proximity of the aptly named Boardwalk water park gives Lightning Racer the feel of a classic wooden coaster on a beach boardwalk. Further contributing to the ride's pleasant appearance, at least at night, is an awesome lighting package. A long strand of lights beautifully trace the general layout of the coasters, and these lights switch between classic yellow and multicolor. Now, getting in line for Lightning Racer, you'll have to meet the 48-inch height requirement. This is pretty low and thus accessible for younger riders, although I don't recommend it for them due to the aggressive nature of wooden coasters in general and the moderate roughness of this one in particular. Once up at the station, you'll be able to choose between the Thunder and Lightning tracks, as well as which row you'd like to sit in. I personally found the ride experience of both tracks to be nearly identical, though out of the more than 20 cycles I observed, Thunder beat Lightning every time except for one. So I guess pick Thunder if you want to win. I definitely found the difference from the front of the train to the back of the train to be significant though, with the back being smoother, better for airtime, and significantly better for racing. Unless the 2 trains are horribly mismatched, you will always be able to enjoy the racing aspect of the ride from the back. Alternatively, in the front, it's easy to get too far ahead of the dueling action, which is the main draw of the coaster for me. So I think row 12 on the Thunder side would be my pick for best seat. Thanks to the short line, high capacity, and quick operations, it won't be long before those gates open up. And once you leave your loose articles off to the side and take your seat, it's time for the on-ride experience. Now, as I alluded to earlier, Lightning Racer offers a relatively fast-paced ride experience, and I was actually somewhat surprised by this, as there are several moments on the coaster that are high up and seem to slow the train down considerably. Outside of those handful of moments, however, Lightning Racer stays low to the ground and is almost always moving you around. There are several mild floater airtime moments, as well as turns and transitions that offer a bit of lateral G-forces. The wooden track of Lightning Racer also adds to the overall pacing and feeling of being out of control, but it does come at the cost of being a bit rough. This attraction is right on the edge of discomfort for me, but it thankfully never passed the threshold into being too rough. If you are, however, typically sensitive to rougher coasters, I'd recommend sitting this one out, especially since Hersheypark has plenty of thrilling coasters that are smooth. That being said, I do appreciate that Lightning Racer seats mitigate some of the roughness, as they are well padded, and the minimalist seat belt and lap bar combo keep the restraint to body contact to a minimum. But now let's jump into the layout. Each track heads out of the station by veering away from the other side before circling back towards each other. This pre-lift section features tiny hills that offer no sensation, but are definitely a fun alternative to a boring, flat turnaround. The subsequent lift hills are slightly offset, so you don't really see the other side's passengers until cresting the top of the hill. The turning first drop that follows is pretty weak towards the front of the train, as you don't really pick up any speed until you're already near the bottom of the drop. The back row is certainly much more exciting as you begin to accelerate at the apex of the lift hill. This results in mildly sustained floater airtime, as well as some decently forceful laterals pushing you to the left as the track turns right. The train then rises up into a large hill, losing a considerable amount of momentum before regaining it by dropping into a large double down. The first dip of this element feels like a shallow version of the first drop and provides similar mild forces. Thankfully, the second dip provides decent floater airtime to the whole train that is still slightly stronger in the back. Up to this point, both tracks have been running parallel but slightly spaced out, with near identical layouts. After the double down, the two tracks diverge by rising into large, swooping turns in opposite directions. And heading up into the turn does slow you down a tad, but I was expecting this to affect the pacing more than it did. I did, however, also think that, at the very least, the front row would be treated to some airtime in this moment, but it didn't. The turning descent does not provide notable forces either, but you do pick up speed, and you do have nice visuals as the opposing tracks converge for the first time. You then get a brief pop of floater airtime at the start of a tunnel, before continuing on plain straight track. This is where the ride, in my opinion, has the best sense of speed, as you're staying low to the ground, all while passing through a narrow and dark tunnel. Adding to the excitement of this tunnel is the flash from the on-ride photo being taken, which adds a disorienting visual component before you get thrown back into the natural light. The tracks remain parallel as they hit an abrupt banked left turn, and this turn kind of catches you off guard since you are still regaining your normal vision after the quick changes between extreme darkness and extreme light. That's followed by a solid floater airtime hill and then a quick right turn before the tracks separate into opposing turnarounds yet again. The section of track from the beginning of the tunnel up until this second turnaround is by far the best stretch of the ride. It hits a rapid succession of quick direction changes without losing much speed, which really makes it feel more out of control than any other part of the ride. But heading into this second turnaround was unfortunately another airtime disappointment. The sustained lateral forces and visuals, however, helped make up for that. In this turnaround, the lightning track encompasses the thunder track, causing the two trains to fly by each other in opposite directions. This is definitely one of the better interactive moments. Each track then hits a small hill that provides just a hint of airtime. Then comes what I like to call the over-under section. Lightning first passes underneath Thunder before the two coasters immediately switch roles. The hills over the opposing track offer more faint airtime, while the turns under offer nothing more than direction changes. Lightning Racer then enters one final turnaround with a similar dynamic to the second, delivering another cool flyby, with Thunder taking the outer turn this time. By this point in the ride, each coaster has lost a considerable amount of momentum, and it's noticeable. The finale of Lightning Racer consists of several small hills, but they unfortunately offer no airtime. Following said hills, the ride heads into straight track, and then the finish line, with the winner of the race being announced over the PA upon returning into the station. Fun stuff. So, what would I rate Lightning Racer? I think I'd give it a 6.5 out of 10. I really do appreciate that it is a long ride, which I know is something that I didn't mention much, but I do appreciate it. And of course, the racing aspect, in addition to solid pacing, is great as well. I do, however, think that racing component does a lot of the heavy lifting. Lightning Racer is a bit lacking when it comes to actual ride forces and elements, and the fact that it's pretty rough isn't helping it out either. It has a bit of a conundrum where it is not exciting enough for some while being too intense for others. Now, if it were just a tad bit smoother, I feel like it would perfectly fit the bill of a large, exciting coaster for all ages. Also, look at this crazy custom trash can with this trash chute from the upper level of the station. That's it. It's not really relevant to anything else I said, but I mean, look at this. I couldn't not share it. But as far as where these coasters rank, they sit around the top 40% of coasters that I have been on at number 125 and 126 out of 308. And despite a near identical ride experience, Thunder is ranked above Lightning because it had like a 95% win percentage. I mean, come on, it literally earned a higher ranking. How could I not? But that's it for this one. Let me know what you all think of Lightning Racer in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe and turn on notifications for more content like this. And make sure to tune in next time where I'll be talking about...